This essay explores slavery's deep legacy. It focuses on modern African society. The transatlantic slave trade caused lasting trauma. These impacts are often unseen. Understanding these roots is vital. It helps address today's challenges. History is not past, it is present. The echoes still shape our world. The trade spanned many centuries. It began in the 1400s. It continued intensely into the 1800s. Millions of Africans were forcibly taken. At least 12.5 million lives were stolen. This was a systematic dismantling of societies. Communities were deliberately broken. European powers like Great Britain were key architects. Ships bore deeply ironic names like Jesus or Grace of God. These vessels carried human cargo. This highlighted a profound moral void. Slavers, such as John Newton, conducted prayers. They did so amidst unimaginable cruelty. The entire system was designed to strip humanity. People were reduced to mere commodities. The trade was integral to modern capitalism. It fueled the economies of Europe. Immense fortunes were built upon human suffering. Sociologist Cedric Robinson termed this racial capitalism. This concept argues capitalism inherently needed slavery. It was constructed upon racial and ethnic divisions. Slavery was not an accidental feature. It was a foundational stone of wealth extraction. Colonial ideologies did not simply vanish. Political independence did not erase them. Some African leaders tragically adopted these systems. They perpetuated colonial structures and mindsets. This created new forms of internal oppression. The old oppressions often wore new masks. The colonial mindset proved stubbornly resilient. For many, liberation felt incomplete, distant. These leaders often sought to consolidate power. They utilized established colonial frameworks. These frameworks became tools for governance and control. Indigenous knowledge systems were frequently suppressed. Foreign models of development were prioritized. Local traditions and wisdom were devalued. This fostered a continued cycle of dependency. The well-being of the populace was not always primary. The slave trade introduced foreign cultures. Subsequent colonization reinforced this profound shift. Foreign religions often became dominant forces. Many modern Africans prioritize these imported systems. This prioritization frequently comes at a great cost. Their own indigenous heritage suffers neglect. A deep, pervasive cultural dislocation occurred. Ancient spiritual practices are sometimes viewed with suspicion. This creates a painful, paradoxical identity struggle. Many Africans feel disconnected from ancestral roots. They grapple with a fractured sense of belonging. Reconciling imported faiths with indigenous beliefs is complex. The search for an authentic self becomes fraught. This internal conflict is a heavy, silent burden. The unseen legacy of the slave master lives on. It persists within the individual and collective psyche. The economic structures established during slavery persist. Colonialism further entrenched these exploitative systems. These historical systems create vast inequalities today. Wealth remains concentrated in very few hands. Opportunities are still tragically scarce for the majority. Africa's rich resources often benefit external powers. This is a direct, unbroken line from past plunder. The patterns of exploitation continue, subtly altered. Colonial borders were drawn arbitrarily by Europe. They largely ignored existing ethnic and cultural realities. This has led to ongoing conflict and social fragmentation. The slave trade itself sowed seeds of discord. It fostered mistrust between communities. These historical divisions are sometimes exploited even now. Building true national unity is a formidable task. The past casts a long, dark shadow. Slavery left deep psychological wounds. Colonialism then aggravated these societal injuries. An internalized sense of inferiority can take root. Cultural confidence is systematically undermined. As analyses note, slavery shapes contemporary views. It affects ideas about incarceration and liberty. It influences concepts of citizenship and value. The sheer weight of this history is immense. The demand for justice is growing louder. Commonwealth nations are now discussing reparations. Caribbean leaders are rightly calling for apologies. They are also demanding substantial compensation. One report suggests the UK owes over £18 trillion. This fight is not solely about monetary value. It is about acknowledging centuries of profound injustice. It is about truth, respect, and true reconciliation. Reclaiming African identity is absolutely paramount. This means actively valuing indigenous knowledge systems. It involves reviving suppressed languages and cultures. It requires courageously challenging colonial narratives. This reclamation is itself an act of resistance. It forms a crucial part of the path to healing. It is essential for genuine, sustainable progress. The fragmented self must be carefully recovered. Education systems require fundamental transformation. They must be thoroughly decolonized. African history needs to be taught from African perspectives. Young Africans must learn the fullness of their heritage. This includes the brutal truths of slavery. It includes the violence of colonialism, but also the richness of pre-colonial civilizations and the long, brave history of resistance. A powerful cultural renaissance is underway. It is visible in many parts of the continent. Artists, writers, and thinkers are leading this charge. They are boldly reasserting African voices and stories. They are creating compelling new narratives of self. This process of self-affirmation is critically important. It rebuilds collective pride and global esteem. It actively counters centuries of dehumanizing portrayals. The future depends on this dedicated work. It means acknowledging the past's deep, pervasive impact. It involves confronting uncomfortable, painful truths directly. It necessitates dismantling colonial structures that still linger. Africa must forge its future on its own terms. This journey is one of collective healing. It is a journey towards lasting empowerment. The unseen legacy must be made visible to be overcome.